in a landscape, when you're drawing or painting a landscape, the challenge is to create a foreground, that's the area that's close to you, a middle distance, and then a background, which is the far distance. Now, on the photocopy, there's not much in the actual background itself, but what I did earlier on was to literally just put my photocopy so that, having drawn a line along the bottom here of the page, which represents the bottom of the photocopy, I then put my photocopy in position on that line, okay? Leaving a piece of paper, drawing paper, on the right-hand side. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
The next thing I did was to put some little lines which literally, line up with this first sort of mid-grey band here. I just literally put a mark on the paper there to the right of it, and then I copied the width of that band by doing another line. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Whoops. So I've got my ground line, which is the bottom one here, and then I've literally, this first dark little band here, I've represented with two lines that are parallel to one another here. And the next thing I did to help myself was to do a line to represent the top of this dark bit here. So I literally just drew that in. And then you've got what looks like the middle distance, which is light. And that could be a field or something. So again, the width of the next band is a fair distance from, it's a bit wider. So I do another line. And then I copied the next one, which looks like the start of a bit of a hill or something. And finally, the top one, which is this pale grey. So I've just got some lines there on my page to help me to identify the areas depicted in this picture here. We've done that for everybody else. I then decide where I'm going to put my tree. So again, if you just place your piece of paper, your photocopy, in the middle of the page, like that, you can then say, okay, this tree I'm going to draw sort of roughly about here. Now, before I do that, there's a whole big clump of vegetation at the front here. So that needs to be drawn in, and you can just simply do it by, just going like this with the following the shapes that you can see here. Joins up with that dark one there, doesn't it? I actually, I think just, as long as you've got something that looks like a clump, and then there's some grassy things that are going like that. So all I've done so far is that. So which represents this clump here, and I've just defined those areas of the composition on the right here with the lines, okay? For those of you that feel up to it and confident, you can then look at your tree shape and decide where the tree, well, I can see my tree shape is going to, in terms of this clump, it's sort of, it goes just to the left of that pointy shape. That's where it starts. And the other side of the tree is just coming in here like this. So there's the beginning of the trunk of the tree. I don't want to go too fast, but I'm going to concentrate now just on this tree shape. And I'm literally copying what I can see in front of me. But there are certain things which you have to remember when you're drawing a tree, and it's very easy to lose sight of them. If you look at the photocopy, the widest, fattest part of the tree is the lower part of the trunk, isn't it? The proportion of that is not, well, how many times does it go into the overall proportion of the height of the tree? If you want to check it, you can put your pencil like that along the side of it and roughly check it. So it goes once, twice, 3, 4 and a bit times into the height.
See if you zoom out a tiny bit.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that the trunk, the widest part of the trunk before the branches start to divide, goes about 4 times into the height of the overall tree. So don't make this too long. Just be careful when you're drawing it that you just get it the right sort of length. And then you can start to put the branches. I'm going to start with doing this horizontal branch that comes out. And literally, I'm just going to copy what I've got on my photocopy sheet.
Is it okay if it's not like exact, but
if it's what?
You want it to be exact, or can it be a little bit different?
No, I mean, I think a bit of artistic license is fine.
Mine's seeming a bit taller.
There's just certain things that you have to bear in mind. I'm going to just zoom in again. What is just really important, and it's something that people fail to appreciate when they're drawing trees, is that the branches are actually broken up into shorter lengths. And it's like, if you look at this line that I've drawn, it goes up, across, up, then it changes direction, comes down, and so on. So the line is constantly changing direction. And then you get these bits at the end which have a little bit more fluidity, the little tiny branches on the outside.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the widest part of any branch is where it's closest to the main trunk of the tree. And as the branches move out, they divide and they get narrower. These are sort of characteristics of every single tree you care to mention. I mean, the overall silhouette shape of a tree will vary according to its species, but the way that the branches grow, or the way that the branches move out, I mean, if you look at a cedar tree, obviously the branches hang down in a particular way, but it still sort of conform to this kind of characteristic of, dividing and narrowing as they move up the tree. Now, I have done just this first branch here, and I'm going to do both sides of it so you can see that it's a dividing branch. So I'm doing a double line until I get to the outer edge, and then it becomes single. And they cross over each other, which gives it a bit of movement and contrast. Right, before I go any further, and just because I think it will help you, have we all of us got this lower branch and the bit of the trunk drawn in? If you haven't, please say.
I've got half the branch.
Okay. Well, if you just stop for a minute and just look at me, please. I'm going to use my pencil on its side, and I'm going to suggest that this side of the left-hand side of the tree is going to be the darker side, and the right-hand side of the tree is going to be the lighter side. Now you can't see that on this because it's all just looks black, but I'm going to use my own initiative here, and I'm going to use my pencil lightly across this middle bit, but so I get some sense of the solidity of that trunk of the tree. And I'm also going to turn my board a bit, sorry, so I can't do it otherwise, but I'm going to actually fill in this lower branch lightly with my pencil, just to suggest again that it's a form that has two sides to it. It's not just a sort of stick. So if you just want to do that lightly with your pencil, so you get a sense of this being a three-dimensional shape. Gives it a little bit more form if you do that. You can see it more easily. Turn it back so you can see it better. All right.